Hi, my name is Simon Marin and I live in Canada. I live actually next to Toronto. I'm about 40 kilometers away or so from Toronto, from the main city, in a smaller town called Caledon. And it's actually really nice out here. It's more on the countryside, so it's really nice and quiet. I got some farmland actually right behind the window. And it's a very nice, quiet place. And I got the city really close by to me as well. So my relationship status is I'm in a relationship. So I've been in a relationship for the past 7 years or so, and it's been an amazing time. I met my girl when we were still in school, when we were still studying, and we just pretty much kept on ever since. We had the same vibe at the time, and we still have the same vibe going on right now. We're both happy, we're both comfortable, and we're both the thing that kept us together, I believe, the most is we both have the same mindset. We have the same personality type, and we make each other comfortable. So I think that is why we lasted for so long, and why we're going to be lasting for longer, I believe. But it's definitely been a fun dating game to get up to that point for sure. My current occupation right now is I'm self-employed. So I actually have my own business. I have my own online store. And the reason why that is because I actually graduated in 2015 as an architect, but it was never my passion. And I always wanted to do something to fulfill my passion, and my passion has always been acting and something in the entertainment industry. And I knew I always wanted to since I was a very young child. So I went to school, I got my degree, I got everything, all that school done out of the way. But I never, like I said, felt passionate about it. So I opened up my own online business. I have my own online store. I only got to work a couple hours a month. So it leaves me quite a lot of open time to actually focus on the things that I love and focus on the time that's the most important. Yes, I do have a current passport. I do have a current Canadian passport. I also have a South African and a Polish passport as well, if that is needed ever in the future. So like I mentioned earlier, my girlfriend and I, we started dating about 7 years ago. It's 7 years and a couple months right now. And we actually met through school. We didn't meet directly in school, but it was actually really interesting because I was going to a different school than she was at that time. And one of her best friends, which I had no idea about my current girlfriend at that time, 7 years ago, and we had a mutual best friend, and that best friend went to my school. Her and her boyfriend broke up, so me and my best friend got a bit closer, and we started hanging out a bit more, and at the same time, I found this really cute girl on Facebook. I had no idea who she was, but I just found her really cute, and I always wanted to message her, but I just never did. I was pretty shy at that time. So one day, I believe it was in October, I actually left my bike over at my best friend's house. And so I went over to that day to go pick up my bike, and the girl that I was creeping on Facebook actually was in my best friend's driveway with my best friend. So I don't know if it was fate or just a coincidence, but it was a pretty big moment, and it was just, I don't know, a big coincidence. So we didn't end up dating at that moment. We didn't really date on and off. I was into her, and then she was into me, and then we ended up being together months later. But prior to that, I've had about 7 to 10 relationships, each lasting from anywhere from a week to about 2 months. And like I said, always when I was younger, then I was always that shy kid. I never really could do the first step in a relationship, so it was always really interesting to see how that relationship was going, just like holding hands pretty much. I was always too shy to do anything else, but I guess growing up and getting older, you kind of learn more things when you're in a relationship. So, and you also learn more personality. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, and why I've been with the girl that I've been with now for the past couple of years, because I found that personality that I just really like, and there's no downsides really. There's nothing I have to compromise. So I think that's the biggest thing that I found. Since I have had a couple girlfriends in the past, then I definitely had a couple times where I felt very confused and kind of not really backstabbed, but it was more of why did the relationship end? I never really understood why until I got older and I kind of looked at myself when I was younger. And when I was younger, I could definitely see that I was a very cringy kid. I guess you could say. I was very, I don't know, I was really awkward and I guess kind of creepy. It wasn't really the best. And when I look back at it, I kind of cringe and I'm like, why was I like that? But so now, since I am older, I can kind of see why those relationships ended. But at that time, then I did feel really, on a couple relationships, I did feel really heartbroken and kind of like stabbed, like, why did this happen? And at that time, I didn't understand why everyone was saying, oh no, it's not your fault. But like, looking at it now as an adult, I can definitely see that it was my fault because my personality was just, I was still figuring out myself. And so my personality was definitely all over the place at that moment. When I was younger, then I did see myself repeating relationships that never really worked. Like I mentioned previously, a lot of my relationships back when I was younger were lasting from a week to maximum 2 months. And the reason why that is because all my relationships that I was in the past, then they were all more friendships than they were actual relationships. I guess I should say my shortest relationship was about less than 24 hours. And the reason why that is because I ended up dating my best friend. And that was a big mistake because before the 24 hours that we were dating, just before that time, we were perfect. Everything was great. We were talking, having our normal conversation. But the time that we started dating, for that 24 hours, it was the most awkward moment in history. We were by the lockers and she was sitting on one side of the locker, I was sitting on the other side. It was just so awkward. It felt like, even though we're the same person, our status changed, and that made us completely different people. So after we ended that relationship, even though it was less than 24 hours, everything went back to normal. And that kind of continued on since my very first girlfriend to my very last girlfriend that is not current right now, that I dated all of them because they're all my best friends. And that always doesn't work out, as my best friends were always there for me and we had a different relationship. It was nothing meant to be in terms of a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of thing, or anything that could go further on than that. So I guess I made that mistake into going into a friendship that never really had to belong there. The friendship that I currently had at that time was the friendship that I always needed, and I think that was the biggest realization to me when I grew up. Yes, I have traveled out of the country. I was actually born in South Africa. I was born in about 45 minutes south of Johannesburg, and South Africa was a very beautiful place. But we moved out of the country in 2001 and we moved here to Canada. So originally the backstory is that my entire background is Polish, but my parents emigrated from Poland in 1980s to Germany to get out of the communistic area, and from Germany they only had a 2-year visa, and after Germany they sought refuge from Canada, South Africa, and Australia. And the first country that responded back to them was South Africa. So they ended up living there for 10 years. I was born in South Africa, like I said, moved to Canada in 2001. I was still a pretty young child, so I grew up here in Canada. That's why I don't have an accent anymore. I have been back to Poland to visit my family, but the last time I went was about 10 years ago, and I guess that was pretty much all the traveling I did do in my life. So I haven't really traveled that much, but I definitely do want to travel, especially as I'm getting older now. I definitely want to travel and see the world. And the reason why I haven't really traveled is because something's always been tying me back down over here. If it's to be with school or well, it's usually school or work, and after I graduated from my studies, then I was working full-time. But now, since I recently opened up my business, it's only a couple months old, this has really given me the freedom to travel and explore the world and do the things that I actually want to do. So I definitely do see myself traveling a lot more in the future, and pretty much that was the only thing holding me back. Technology I found to be a really big thing because I found a lot of my friends and my best friends through technology in the modern era, in the modern age, I should say. Because like I said, for the past 7 years, I have been in a relationship, so I never really was looking around, but I definitely did take advantage of the apps. If it's, I don't know, Tinder or something like that. I definitely, just because I am in a relationship doesn't mean I shouldn't use those apps, because I did use Tinder and I did use other, I guess, dating apps and social network apps. And through those apps, I found a lot of my best friends and a lot of my close friends that I am with right now. So technology definitely does play a very big part in a modern relationship. There's so many factors that come in, and you always, obviously me being in a relationship, someone that's not single anymore, I definitely do have to be more careful being online, just to make sure that nothing gets out of the boundaries of what's supposed to happen and what's not supposed to happen. But I think it's still a great place to meet people and make friends and make relationship friends too, who you can meet other couples and you kind of become friends like that. So it definitely does play a really big role, I believe, in today's society. So like I previously said, I have been dating for a long time. So I'm pretty much looking at a long-term relationship at this stage of life. I did have fun dating, dating for fun when I was younger, and I definitely did enjoy that. So I think I moved past that point in my life and got something more long-term, something more serious now that I don't have to feel worried about going back out there and looking for someone. And because I am getting older, it definitely is getting harder to look for someone that isn't in a relationship. So yeah, definitely being in a long-term relationship as you get older is it's just much easier for my lifestyle. And to answer the very last question, I would definitely say that there was a very big factor that played into how I actually found the love that I am in now and how I started dating. So when I was younger, I always thought that my personality was always mixed up. And so when I was younger, I always thought that I was like invincible and I could pretty much do whatever I want, I could get whatever I want, but in terms of that, my personality wasn't that great. I always was the bad guy because I wouldn't think about what I was saying at that time, and I would just say whatever I thought, if it would be to my current relationship that I was in previously, or if it was just to friends or anything like that. So looking back at it, I definitely did say a lot of mean comments to people, to my past relationships, that I really should have thought of better and not make it so bad, because it did obviously affect their life, but it was just really rude for me to do. So as I got older again, and I really learned this in my current relationship right now. In my first year relationship, it was terrible. I was really mean, she was really mean. We were both young, but we decided to stay together. And as we got older, especially in our second year of dating, then that's when we changed and pretty much got on the same ground. I stopped becoming mean and I started realizing what I was saying more before I actually said it. And so did my current girlfriend. So it was definitely a really big stepping stone in not only what hinders love in a relationship, but it really grew me as a person in general to talk to not my girlfriend, but to everyone around me that I ever met. So I would definitely say that there was a very specific point, I would say in 2011 or 2012, that really made me open my eyes and realize I should really change the way I am if I want to find someone and if I want to keep someone that I'm going to be happy with and love pretty much for the rest of my life. So I hope that answers all of your questions. Thank you so much for listening to my probably long spiels. Hopefully I didn't take up too much of your time. But again, my name is Simon Maron, SIMONMARON. My email address is Simon Maron, like first and last name, SIMONMARON704 at gmail.com. So that is one of the ways you can reach me. And also I have a phone number that you can reach me at, which is 647-571-3371. And that's pretty much, I would say, probably the best way to reach me, because I'm always on my phone, because my business is always attached to my phone, so I always have my phone on me. So I just wanted to say thank you again so much for your time, and I hope you liked listening to everything that was going on in my life. Hope you guys had a nice day.